Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
I'm going to lead it off with Kollie. Just for everybody out there, here we go. I'm fired up. It's Monday. It's Monday rapid fire.
That's right. That's right. So fill in the blank. Prince Kollie entering the transfer portal, Vince, is blank.
100% expected. I mean, we all knew that this was going to happen. We just didn't know when it was going to happen. And I mean, he's been injured most of the spring, and it was the writing was on the wall. It was 100% expected. And, at the end of the day, he wasn't developed or he wasn't being developed. Whichever way you want to go with it, he was third on the depth chart at his position. And I texted Brian because I wanted to make sure I got the depth chart correct. Okay. He was, let's see here. He was playing Will, first of all. And the depth chart at Will is Marist, Ziegler, Sneed, and then Prince Kollie, according to Brian.
Interesting. So I wonder where Kaiser fits into that, because we've seen more of Kaiser.
Right. Will. I think he's,
like, is he just sub-package, not necessarily depth chart? Okay.
Because I think he's technically still a rover. A rover. Right? I think he's technically still a rover.
Right.
But then, what does that mean? Yeah, so he probably fits in there as well, which would bump Prince Kollie down even further.
You saw what Jalen Sneed did. You saw what Nolan Ziegler did out there. And again, it stinks, because I know that Prince Kollie was highly regarded, and some people had him as a 5-star, others had him as a 4-star coming out of high school and all that kind of stuff. And anytime you get that kind of talent coming in, everyone gets excited about him. I mean, see Jalen Sneed, and the whole conversation with Jalen Sneed last year. But just like you said, for whatever reason, he has not been able to climb the depth chart. And in that case, just like with Lorenzo Styles, it's the same situation. The writing, the handwriting is on the wall, and sometimes you just need a fresh start and go someplace else, and that's what he's going to do now. So you lose some talent, but you do
he's a good special teams player.
Like, look at what Nolan Ziegler did out there. Ziegler had 10 tackles out there, led all tacklers.
Right, and according to Brian, he's second on the depth chart at both Mike and Will, which is interesting. So, Ziegler's got positional flexibility as well. Kaiser's got positional flexibility. Jalen Sneed is going to play. I mean, he was flying all over the place too. He led his team in tackles, if I'm not mistaken, right? So you're still going to see plenty of guys rotating at linebacker. Everybody needs to relax on the Marist thing, by the way. Just take a chill pill.
All I can say about that is, like, we obviously don't get to watch practice day in and day out. And whatever Al Golden / whoever else sees in Marist Liufau, they're seeing on a day in and day out basis. I don't think it's just the fact that he's a veteran. There has to be more to it, just in terms of consistency across the board. Like fewer mistakes, I guess. And I'm not trying to make excuses, but as people who have both coached would tell you, Vince, you're not going to intentionally put the guy on the field who you think is going to play worse than another guy.
And if another guy earns it, he's going to play. Like, you got to remember, these coaches get hired and fired based on production and based on wins and based on how their position group go. They're not going to purposely put a crappy kid out there to do a crappy job so that it looks like they're a crappy coach. Like, that's not how it works. So everybody just needs to relax. Jalen Sneed is going to play a ton. I think Ziegler is going to play a ton. Like, even if Marist is the quote-unquote starter, his snap numbers are going to go way down because of what's behind him right now.
Yeah, I have to think so.
Everybody needs to just relax.
Like, no matter what happens at the start of the season, like a couple of these other guys, if they keep playing the way that we got to see them play, again, and you don't want to overreact to what you saw in a blue gold game, but you did see some good play from those guys. We know that. And, the thing about Ziegler is we've seen that from him pretty consistently in a couple other practices, those other practices that we were able to see. So this is not a one-off for him. We weren't able to see Jalen Sneed because he was injured when we were out there. But in Ziegler's case, like, this is somebody who they've been talking about since the start of spring, that they're pretty excited about. And,
Yeah.
you know, the just the positional flexibility that he has to do some like you said, he's number 2 probably at both inside linebacker positions, and they've had him do some stuff up on the line of scrimmage, like in that dime package and stuff like that. So there's just he is able to do a lot, and it sounds like things, just really started clicking for him at some point, because he's out there making plays now.
I do think there's going to be, as Irish in Ohio says, a lot of rotating at linebacker this year because there's so much talent. And I completely agree with this. I completely agree with that. Some of the young linebackers just weren't ready last year to have, a defined role in the defense. They just weren't ready yet. This is their time. They're going to have an opportunity. I promise you, they're going to have an opportunity.
I will say this. Who was out there more in the first half than I realized? Because I don't. Did you go back and watch?
I haven't had a chance yet. No, I haven't.
I went back and watched most of the first half yesterday, and we'll get to that here in a little bit as well. But JD Bertrand was actually out there quite a bit, and you didn't see him making a lot of tackles. Now, there was a lot of passing that was going on.
Right.
Obviously.
There's not a lot of running.
And that means he's playing in space and doing those kind of things a lot more. But yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Because we were both like, we didn't see him very much. And so that's interesting that he was out there more than you thought.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I think again, there's a stockpile of talent. Like, if you look at the running backs, the wide receivers, the linebackers, the cornerbacks, like those, like what you would call skill positions offensively, there's been a lot of inconsistency there over the years. And you haven't seen, like, they've been fortunate to have like a Will Fuller or, like a guy or two at a time, but you're starting to see stockpiles of talent in all of those groups right now. And it's very exciting to see, I think.
And that's the other thing. And I can't remember if I said it on this show or if I said it with, I don't even remember. It all runs together. But basically, if you want to be, and when I say you want to be, if you want to follow a team that is a high-level recruiting team, and they're going to stockpile all these guys, then you better get used to guys hitting the transfer portal. And guys that you may have been excited about at one point or another, not just depth piece guys that, like a Prince Kollie, for example. Guys that you were excited about, that you wanted on the field, are transferring out because they're victims of the depth chart. That's going to happen. And you need to be okay with that. You could be upset. You could be disappointed. I'm totally fine with that. But you need to expect, because there's only so many snaps. There's only so many footballs to get in your hands. Guys are going to Lorenzo Styles, Prince Kollie. Like, those are guys that I think we all thought were probably going to be some dudes on this team. Mm-hmm. And now they're going to be playing for somebody else. You just have to understand that if you're going to be a high-level recruiting organization, some guys are going to leave. It's just the way it is.
Green Guy 111 is asking if they're going to the portal for a safety. I would imagine. I would think that's going to be top of the list. I saw a Michigan safety enter the transfer portal today, and it's like that. With springs, everyone, Michigan's been done with their spring for a while, but with all these springs wrapping up, did you see that? Now, this is as of a couple of hours ago. Since the end of the, big hoopla Colorado spring game, 15 more players from Colorado have entered the portal just in the 2 days since the spring game.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Can't say I'm all that surprised, I guess. I mean, I'm sorry, everybody who's a Deion fan. That's an S show out there.
Well,
and it's going to be that way for a while.
He, came in the door, he's got his own luggage and all that stuff. And he told him, go find someplace else. He's going to be mining the portal. I'm going to be really curious to see what his roster, like what the composition is, guys who were actually recruited by Colorado versus guys that he's brought in once things open up. It definitely changes things, though, when you talk about being able to rebuild a roster pretty quickly using that transfer portal.
Yeah.
Jason DeWilkins, green bean casserole is the Taylor Swift of side dishes. Super popular for some reason, but we all know it sucks. So, I wouldn't say Taylor Swift sucks, but it's like how, it's always going back to that well of, like writing about the breakups. And it's like, all right.
She's super popular.
She
My
is.
my boss and my colleague are obsessed. You should have seen them the day that those tickets went on sale, like walking around with their laptops, getting into the queue to buy their tickets, obsessed. I don't see it.
Yeah. Okay. So the other guy who entered the portal, Lorenzo Styles, we touched on it a little bit. And here's what Marcus Freeman had to say about that transfer. It came up in his post blue gold press conference.
He just came and said he's going to enter the transfer portal, and you wish him all the best, and like the only thing I told him and his father was just I hate losing out on an opportunity to get a Notre Dame degree. That's the only thing, is that we all of our players chase this NFL dream and chase this dream of starting and playing a lot of football and major college football, and that can be achieved, but the degree from Notre Dame is truly something special. And I want that for every one of my players, because I believe an education from Notre Dame, a degree from Notre Dame, will take care of you the rest of your life. And that's what I wish for all of our kids that come through this program. But we love Zoe. I love Zoe, and I wish him all the best.
So there's the final word from Marcus Freeman in Chi-Town, was asking if there is, if anyone knows if Styles is leaving with his degree, because if he's not, it's ridiculous, because I can't see him making the NFL. I mean, you heard from Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman actually sounded a little emotional there. I don't remember what the look on his face was all about, but he sounded emotional when he talked about, not getting and he's only been here for 2 years, so there's no way he's got a degree yet from Notre Dame. And, you heard Freeman say there that that's what he's going to miss out on, is the chance to get that degree.
Yep. And he was obviously emotional about it. I bet you the conversation that he had, he said he talked to his dad. I bet it was a three-way conversation. Mm-hmm. I bet it was emotional to make a decision like that. I bet you it was emotional because, again, I think we all expected big things from Lorenzo Styles this past year. And if he has the season like we all thought he was going to have, there's no way he's leaving, right? There's no way these freshmen are catching up to him the way that they are. There's no way that he's sliding down the depth chart and contemplating a position switch to defense. I mean, I'm sure it's very emotional from where he was a year ago to where he is now. It's completely different. That's kind of sad, especially considering where he's probably headed. Sad.
Yeah, I agree. Anthony Solomon, thanks for the super chat, my man. Overreaction. Boom. Sam Hartman will throw for 50 touchdowns in the regular season and 4,900 yards. Yes, that might be a really good overreaction. Actually, you might have that overreaction set just right. That's right.
50's a lot. That's definitely an overreaction. I would say cut that down by about 10 to 15. 15. Let's say 15.
I'd give him a chance for 40. I'd give him a chance.
I do too. That's why it's like 10 to 15. I think upper 30s is very doable. I really do. Yeah. And then as far as the yards are concerned, what do you think? 3,000? I guess I got to put it in perspective. Do you know how many like Jack Cohn had, or like Pine only had a little over 2,000, right?
I was going to say off the top of my head, Cohn had somewhere around 3,000, I think. I just think because of the rushing game, like that's still going to be a factor. And so that's going to cut down, I think, on the opportunity for like big numbers like that. But I could see him around 4,000 by the time it's all said and done, including the bowl game for sure.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. If he's healthy the whole way, there's definitely some games where you can pile up some yardage, but if they do it right, he shouldn't be in the whole game either. I mean, there's all these different factors, right? Like if Sam Hartman's playing the entire game against Navy, against Tennessee State, there's a problem. Like there's a problem, in my opinion.
I think your timeline might be off, Chi-Town. Styles was only here for 2 years.
Yeah, he was
wasn't
a
here
true
during
sophomore.
the COVID season. Yeah,
He was a true sophomore this year, so there is no COVID year for him.
right.
So,
There was another question I was going to pull out of the chat here, and thoughts on how the new coaching staff is carrying out their assignments. I don't really,
I mean,
other than the fact that they all I think we've seen good development from the players. Other than that, I don't know what specific assignments you might be talking.
Well, I think like Al Washington and Al Golden are definitely more active on the recruiting trail than they've been in the last year, right? So I think that's good. I think whether they had like a meeting with Marcus Freeman or whatever happened, they're more active, which is fantastic. I think you can see development across the board at all the positions, and so I think that's important. So yeah, I think right now I would take this coaching staff over the coaching staff that was here 2-3 years ago. Like I like the coaching staff that is here. So yeah, I think they're doing a good job. I think it's a good group.
Yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with it. And I feel like, there was a lot of heat on Al Washington, both
there was
recruiting and developmentally.
Rightfully
and
so.
I think, yeah, rightfully so. And I think on both counts, he has stepped up in everything. Like when you look, for example, at the development of a Jason Onye and some of these other guys, new faces on the defensive line. I think that he's stepped up. I think that at least for now, it's an incomplete because when do you have to see it? During the season?
Sure.
But I think at least for now, he's pointed in the right direction.
Yep, I completely agree.
Yeah. Irish in Ohio, will we like to see Greathouse return punts this fall? What do you think about that prospect?
I think that's a great opportunity to get him on the field, because he still is a true freshman. But if you have him returning punts, now he's getting on the field almost as like a starter, right? I mean, you're starting on special teams. So I think that's a great opportunity for him to start, feeling the D1 football world and figuring it all out. And I think that's a great opportunity to get the ball in his hands.
I think so as well. And I can't remember the last practice we were at. I want to say I don't believe he was back there returning punts. I know that there were some other guys. I can't remember if Braylon James was part of that group or not. There was a handful of guys back there. I believe Meriwether and Tyree were back there. I don't think the Greathouse was, but I wonder if they've auditioned him, because I agree. I think that would be a good opportunity to get him out there on the field.
Yep.
All right. So you want to talk about the Peacock broadcast of the game? See if we can really light this thing on fire.
So I will defer to you a little bit on this one, but I will say I like who they had in the booth. I thought they did, from what I can gather, they did a good job. I mean, let's be honest. I think the play-by-play guy could only be an upgrade. He's a professional. He does it all the time, right? Could only be an upgrade. I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And as far as the color guy, again, I don't really have
Rudolph.
I don't
Rudolph did the game.
Which, okay, great. Like, I don't have an issue with your boy Red. I don't have an issue with him, Jason Garrett. I just don't think he's paired up very well, and I don't think that's his fault. You know what I mean? So I didn't hear a whole lot of Kyle Rudolph doing his thing. I've heard the play-by-play guy do his thing because I listen to men's basketball and things like that. He's good. He's good at play-by-play. I assume he did a good job.
Man, these comments are starting to come in fast and furious. Father David said, best part of the Peacock broadcast, not available in Canada, so I could only watch highlights. Indy Sailor, they were not good. Too much chit-chat, not enough game observation.
It's a spring game. You've got to have other crap to talk about.
I would agree with that for the most part, because there is, having called, there's definitely a difference between TV and radio. But having called these games on the radio, there's definitely a different vibe. I've called several Blue Gold games over the years on the radio. There's definitely a different vibe in terms of feeling like you've got to, like, oh, first down and, all these, whatever it happens to be. You're definitely telling a story. One criticism that I heard that I would agree with from what I saw is they did not talk nearly enough about guys on the defensive side of the ball. It was mostly
offense.
The offense.
So that's not doing your homework, and that's
right.
not
And
okay.
there was a lot of, continuous talk as opposed to, and again, like how much you really need to focus on any given play in a blue gold game when it's on TV and the pictures were there. But there was just a lot of, nonstop, chatter and stuff like that. They did bring in Marcus Freeman, which was good. Cal Hamilton was working the game on the
Saw that.
sideline. I felt like he did a pretty good job. I guess my biggest knock was like early on, the play-by-play guy said something to the effect of, "Oh, Tyler Buckner, anyone around Notre Dame knows who Tyler Buckner is. So, like, what do I need to tell you about him?" It's, again, it's like you're broadcasting to a large audience, even if it's a streamer on national TV. You're going to tell me that there's no story to tell about Tyler Buckner because everyone knows who Tyler Buckner is. Like,
see, that's not good.
That's the thing that caught me as, like a broadcaster of games. It's like there's got to be some angle that no one has talked about, that you can tell me about Tyler Buckner. You can't assume that your audience knows anything. Now, I'm not saying you talk down to them like they're stupid, but you can't assume what anyone watching does or doesn't know. There's always some kind of story to tell out there.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, you can't assume that you're just talking to like the parents of the players. Like that's
right.
That's not good. And if you don't have a story to tell about the guy who's competing to be the starting quarterback at Notre Dame, then you're not doing your job.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Right.
And this guy does a lot of the post-game stuff on the radio, or doesn't he? Like he knows the storylines. Put him out there. Like, yeah, I got it. He does the pregame show. That's what he does. He's on the tailgate show or whatever.
You'd like to hear, especially as many guys get in a game like this, you'd like to hear just some little nuggets here and there about like, okay, here's where this guy is, in terms of, competing for this job or, wherever it happens to be, regardless of a position, and again, like on the defensive side, you just didn't hear him talk that much about the defense. And in a spring game like that, what's the biggest thing that everyone's talking about? Positional battles, like who's going to end up number one? Where is this guy? And like, I can't say that we saw him out there at any of the media opportunities during the spring. So
and again, it's not that hard to have a conversation with Marcus Freeman, turn on an IB podcast, something where you're going to get some information that
it at least sounded like they did, but again, it's like your TV. So you're going to get some one-on-one time with Marcus Freeman and probably some other coaches as well. But
it can't be that hard.
We heard some of that, but not a lot. Because again, like they had Freeman mic'd up, out on the field.
Sure, and you got to do that. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah. And you got to, having Kyle Hamilton as the sideline reporter. That's fine. It's a spring game.
Yeah, and this, Derek, at the very least, say who made the tackle. Exactly.
That's fair.
Exactly.
So it sounds like it was a very student-run organization. Like it just didn't sound professional, which that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah. I agree. And again, it's like there's a different feel to a spring blue gold, type broadcast than a regular season real broadcast, but there's still information that people Notre Dame fans tuning into that broadcast want to hear something, at least little nuggets about several different, not necessarily, everybody, but you want to hear little nuggets about guys making plays that you're watching out there. You got to tell that story because this is much deeper into the depth chart that you're going to than it's going to be during a regular season game, where you're used to seeing those guys game in and game out. You're seeing a lot of people that you haven't seen before, and you have to be able to tell the audience something about as many of those people as possible, not just Sam Hartman and here's my interview with Marcus Freeman.
Right. You've got to do better because you're going to have to talk about more guys. You've got to do more homework for a blue gold game than you do for a regular game. The way I see it.
Exactly. Okay, so Notre Dame's latest edition of the shirt was unveiled before the game. It was unveiled last Friday. What'd you think of the shirt, Vince?
I don't know. It just didn't do a whole lot for me. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting. I don't know what anybody was expecting. I didn't see a whole lot of positive things out there on social media. Now wasn't really hunting for it either, but it's green. Okay, cool. The numbers on the players on the back all mean something. Okay, cool. I don't know. It just seems kind of like,
Yeah, and I mean, that's probably the critique that it says march on to victory with the interlocking ND on the front. Not a whole lot of fanfare on the front. Rally for old Notre Dame on the back. Shamrock and 4 players. Look, to me, the only important thing is the shirt is green. Like it's a green shirt. When the students go to the student section, they'll all be wearing the green shirt. You're not going to see the logos, from the stand, from down on the field or whatever. Anyway, so it's a green shirt. Is it worth buying? As ND Sailor says, I don't know, but if you collect the shirts, it's not one that's going to stand out.
yeah.
But it's green. Like, I'm just glad it's green because I think that they should. I realize they want to mix it up and stuff like that, but they're doing all this green stuff every year. You need green shirts out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they've done navy, they've done yellowish. They've done different shades of green. By the way, I like this green. I like the Kelly green. I like the more pop of a green color as opposed to like the darker green.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they got that part. They got that part right, and that's fine. I mean, look, they've been doing this for like 25 years. There's only so much creativity you're going to be able to get every single year making a new T-shirt.
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, don't be too surprised when it's like, oh, they mean there's Notre Dame players on it, and there's a line from the fight song. Got it. Like, it's not going to be much more creative than that. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. And I was thinking about it. Like, to me, like the colors that stand out. I guess a gold shirt would stand out. The blues, when they go blue, they just
it all blends in.
Yeah, it all blends in. With the stadium, like a white shirt would stand out. Obviously, have they ever done a white shirt before? I don't think they have.
No,
do you remember them doing a white shirt?
Nope.
Maybe too close to Penn State or Michigan State or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it'd be the first time that Notre Dame ever did like the same color in the entire. Like the closest they ever get is when they do the green out. That's the problem with Notre Dame. I shouldn't say the problem with Notre Dame, but like there's no signature color.
Yeah,
for Notre Dame, right? Like Nebraska, red. Penn State, white. Like there's colors that are very associated with certain schools. Notre Dame doesn't have one. Green, I guess, is the closest thing. That's not even an official color.
They do, but they don't use it. Yeah, that's right. Like green stands out, but
sure,
they don't use it as much.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't at all. I mean, it's not in the uniform. It's not, it's maroon. I mean, it's blue and gold. That's it. And there's just so many shades of blue. I don't know. They just don't have like.
Here's what they should do. They should, like, next year the shirt should be like a gold sparkly disco shirt. So like instead of just a plain T-shirt, because like the gold helmets sparkle, they need like sparkly flair on the T-shirt. So like those would stand out. Those would pop. Like
they would.
Like even on a sunny day, you would get like glistening off, like off the T-shirt.
You'd have a hard time having people wear sequins, but other than that, be tough.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like you don't have a color. Like if you're going to an away game for Notre Dame, you don't have a color that you wear to try to drown out the other team. Like Notre Dame just doesn't have one.
I don't understand. Father David doesn't like that suggestion. I'm not allowed to make suggestions.
It's not a sequin guy, I guess.
That's
Jazz
right.
hands.
The Aaron Rodgers trade from Green Bay to the New York Jets is finally complete. It happened this afternoon. They'll swap their first-round picks this year. Packers are also going to get the Jets' second-round pick as well as a conditional first-round pick next year. So, Vince, Mr. Bears fan, how do you feel about this?
Friggin' great for many reasons. Number one, the Packers are going to suck this year. Awesome. Number two, I can't wait to see the media talk with Aaron Rodgers on a daily basis, a weekly basis. Something is going to, mark my words, something is going to go down and the New York media is going to eat him alive.
I agree.
Something. And I am here for it, folks. Get your popcorn ready. That's what I'm here for. Number 3, I just don't think he's the savior of the Jets that everybody thinks he's going to be. And so I'm going to enjoy that storyline as well.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
I will absolutely enjoy that storyline because the Jets are just always going to be the Jets and they're just not going to be all that good. It's great, man. Like, it is fantastic. And I also think that I think the Jets actually made out better in the deal from a trade standpoint than the Packers did. I think the Packers are so desperate to get rid of him that they pretty much took whatever the Jets were offering. I feel like they should have held out for some more, but
they're still getting, they're getting a second round pick, and they're going to, they'll basically get to trade up in this year's, in the first round.
Yeah, by
this
2
year.
spots.
And then I don't know what the condition is for next year.
He has to pay 65% of the snaps, and he probably will, unless he gets injured, and then that becomes a first round pick.
Yeah, I think that, like, if you're the Jets, like the comment that Rodgers made a few weeks ago about, well, I was contemplating retirement, and now I'm going to play. It's like, if you're the Jets, I don't think you're going to give up that. You're not going to be willing to give up that much more than what they gave up, just because of the fact you don't know how long this guy is going to be playing.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, we did a question a few weeks ago about whether or not this would be done before the draft. I thought that it would be, because it felt like the draft would kind of be, the line in the sand, like you needed to get something done before then for this to really work out. And they finally
did.
got it. Yeah. I'm surprised it got done on Monday. I'm honestly kind of shocked.
Kind of came out of nowhere, didn't it? Like, all of a sudden I just saw it on Twitter. I was like, oh, all right. Guess he's officially new. And the picture I saw was him wearing a number 8 jersey. My guess is because he can't be 12, because that obviously is a very famous number in New York. And he was number 8 in college. So I guess maybe he goes back to number 8. I don't know.
Maybe so.
I'm sure he would say that
I hadn't seen that yet.
Twice the quarterback that Brett Favre ever was. That's why he wants to wear number 8.
Well, I saw someone on NFL Network saying today that, like, they had never had a quarterback. The Jets have never had a quarterback of this level, disregarding, going Joe Namath, because they mentioned Joe Namath, but it's like Brett Favre, this is
Hall
the
of
exact same team, like the exact same situation. You got Brett Favre,
same scenario,
also from the Packers 20 years ago or whatever it was, so 15, 16, I don't know how many years it's been at this point, but yeah, it's like you got Brett Favre. They've had a quarterback of this. Literally, they've had a quarterback, the exact same quarterback of this level before. They've both won a Super Bowl, so.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for today. Thanks for joining us on Overreaction Monday. We appreciate you for sharing some of your overreactions and, allowing us to overreact to you and vice versa. We appreciate
what we do.
it.
That's what we
That's
do.
Right.
I will overreact, no problem.
We're here for you. That's right. All right. We will talk to you tomorrow. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already done so. And of course, subscribe, rate, and review. Have a great one. And we will talk to you on Tuesday on IB Nation Sports Talk.